Hey, what's up? Sociologist Ray here. As I sit out on my family's land, I'm reflecting on what Kevin Hart was saying on the pivot. First off, the pivot, those brothers, they just do an amazing job, and we've corresponded about that with that show. And Kevin Hart was talking about essentially why business partnerships fail, why businesses fail. And he just dropped a whole bunch of gems. You can see it here.
Our culture f***s it up more than anybody else. We're very self-destructive when we get to the places where that financial revenue changes. What you get? Oh, I should be getting how much is very,
right.
And that's a problem. So if you don't personally try to break that chain from the top by leading with the position of we are all going to be good because we're going to make sure that we hold each other accountable, we take care of our own, but more importantly, we grow. The day that we get into the space of competitiveness, the day that our egos overpower and overshadow the opportunity ahead of us, we lose. Right now, if I ask you guys to tell me 5 bands, 5 music groups that are still together from back in the day, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
Nobody asks themselves why. Why do they all break up?
Money.
Why do they all fucking break up?
Ain't the money?
I'm just saying, like, that's not nobody sees this. We ignore it. Why are we the culture that's always behind nah, this shit ain't work? It ain't working out. We ain't that. It ain't. I just heard Desus and Mero broke up, and I'm a fucking fan of these guys. By the way, the future is so bright for that thing, that IP, that opportunity, that whatever. Then I see him going back and forth on social media with what's happening? Why can't we ever surpass or overcome the financial hurdles that present themselves and stay connected? Why can't we do that?
It's called ego.
That's why you remove it.
Easier said than done in some circumstances.
It's actually not.
In some instances.
But when people say that, right? When they say it's easier said than done, and the ego is very present and dominant, right? You gotta ask yourself, why? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Me and Dwayne Johnson are good friends. You know why our shit works? DJ, I don't give a fuck about titles. I don't give a fuck about number 1 or number 2. DJ, I don't care what that thing is. Dude, I love working with you.
Right.
You're my guy. I love you, champ. Love you too, Kev. You want to do this thing? Let's make it work. Kev, my company's producing it. You want dope? I hope you guys knock it out the park. Let me see the materials. If I can help, I can. DJ, I got something that's coming from my company. Hey, do you want me to include you? Do you guys want to co-produce? How do you want to do it? Kev, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. Hov, can you sit down with me, man? I got a show. I want to fucking talk to you. Yeah. Hey, man, I got this thing, guys, I'm doing. Chris, man, you should go. What do you think about doing New York together? Fuck it, we can co-headline it. Let's split this shit down the middle. I don't care. Fuck it, Kev, yeah, let's do it. You think Dave will come to one of the shows? Let's ask him. Dave, what you want to do? Oh my God, guys, it's great. There's no egos. With real success and real fucking moves, the real ones.
Right.
The real ones, there's no egos. Because collabs are collabs that don't question where I stand and what I am.
Right.
There's nothing about the next person that's going to affect or rock my world. I know I'm Kevin Hart. I don't need you to fucking validate it.
Right.
I don't need that. I have no ego.
Yeah.
None. I got a fucking tequila. I'm not competing with Dwayne.
Yeah.
It's not me versus him. You bring his bottle out here, I'll be the first to hold it up. I'll be the first to support my guy while I have mine. Because there is no ego. People don't understand that there's so much room for us all. But there's this warped view that there isn't. There's this warped view that it can only be one.
One of the things that my grandma always told me is some people would rather crash a flying plane than ride co-pilot. That sums up a lot of our business relationships. Some people would rather crash a flying plane than ride co-pilot. Think about that. That means they are about to die. But instead of letting you or someone else fly the plane, they would rather themselves die so that you won't succeed. You got to avoid those people. How do you avoid those people? We know that a lot of businesses fail. We know, for example, just at the beginning of COVID, one of the big storylines was that all of these black businesses were popping up. Well, what people didn't realize is at the beginning of COVID, roughly 40% of black-owned small businesses closed. They failed. Now, a lot of that had to do with our lack of access to capital, which I'll be talking about a lot on this channel. But there's also a lot that we can do in terms of business relationships. What are those things? Well, look, I know a lot about business relationships. I'm a professor at a major university. I also direct a center. I'm the executive director of the Lab for Applied Social Science Research. And we have collaborated with major corporations, Google, AT&T, USA Today. We've also had some failed relationships. We've done a lot of contract work with the federal government. As an academic, as a person who writes a lot, who has published over 50 academic articles, I mean, we're talking about 9,000 word articles, and then has also written over 50 opinion editorials, op-eds. I also edit an academic journal, a magazine. It's called Context Magazine, Sociology for the Public. We have a staff. We work with multiple staffs. I'm also a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. There are multiple staffs there, groups that I work with, that I collaborate with. What have I learned? What do people miss to make business partnerships work? Well, are you equally yoked? See, that's a term that we use when we talk about romantic relationships. We don't talk about them enough when it comes to business relationships. See, business partnerships are actually relationships. They are about interacting with people, fundamentally at its root. So are you equally yoked? You figure this out by asking a couple of important questions. First, what do they want? Second, what are they driven by? What's driving them? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it the work? Figure out what actually drives them. And then what you want to do is you want to try to figure out how to get character over everything else. What is their character? What is driving them? What do they want? The next big thing is, do you have complementary skill sets? Think about it. It's like football team or basketball team. You don't need two people that can run point. You don't need necessarily two people that's gonna play center. In football, you don't need two quarterbacks on the field at the same time that can throw the ball. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes they can work, but oftentimes it's not gonna work. Now, there are definitely certain positions where you can have more than one, but you all get my point. You need to have complementary skill sets. If you're gonna have two running backs, one needs to probably be a power back, one needs to be a speed back. And you can throw people off by putting them in the game at the same time or situationally. Businesses operate the same way when it comes to business partnerships. The other question you need to ask yourself in thinking about these complementary skill sets is, what skills are you looking for? I know for me personally, I need somebody that's hardworking. I need a person who is really smart and sharp, or who is at least willing to learn, to go seek out the answers and willing to accept advice. I need people who get things done for the business without me necessarily telling them. I need people to admit when they're wrong. I need people who are adjustable and malleable. And I also need people who do not have a me ego. Now look, all those things I just said are actually things that I hope people see in myself. This is why what you want and what you need is a lot about you realizing who you are and what you want, and the type of person you are and the type of person that you want around you. See, people also don't focus on how they change during business. That becomes really, really important. See, we change oftentimes. And as we change and grow, we need different things. You got to be open to that. The big thing is this: assigned roles. People need assigned roles. That's part of the sports analogy. See, are you on the front side or the back side of the business? Are you on sales or are you on the production side? You need to ensure that those are complementary skill sets, that everybody has their role that they feel needed in the relationship. Part of this means you put these details together up front. They can change. You want to have in a revisit plan, but put it up front what you're doing and what your assigned roles are. Part of this could mean outsourcing, paying for legal advice, paying for a neutral party to handle the money. Then all of a sudden there's no miscommunication about what I'm doing with the money and what happened. Because see, in business, when you grow and you get to moving so fast, you forget the key building blocks of a business partnership that actually makes it last. See, sometimes we enter into business relationships, into partnerships, because it's a good idea. But see, simply having a good idea is not sustainable. What you have to realize is that you are entering into a long-term relationship. So let me say that again. People enter into business partnerships because of an idea, not realizing they are entering into a long-term relationship. There's nothing worse than entering into a long-term relationship with someone that you're not equally yoked with. The other thing that I'll say is, do you have an opt-out plan? Oftentimes we enter into relationships and we change. The business changes. And when the business changes, it becomes important to pivot. Well, look, this is why you have to build in an opt-out plan. This is why you revisit this information regularly, saying, look, every 90 to 180 days, every 3 to 6 months, we're going to revisit our plan. And you put in an opt-out strategy. See, sometimes we get into business relationships and partnerships and we feel obligated to stay because of the role we are playing, instead of realizing we've shifted and moved on. And look, a lot of that centers around mixing business with pleasure. Look, I'm going to do a whole segment on that because oftentimes we enter into relationships, into business partnerships with people that we have relationships with, family, friends, romantic partners. I'll be talking about that. So look, let me know what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and how you move forward. And look, all of this noise, construction out here is booming where I'm at. Look, I'm trying to tell y'all, look, it's so much going on. But this is what I'll say. Look, drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you do to sustain a business. Let me know about failed businesses and any questions you might have, and I'll be willing to answer those questions. So look, I need for you to do one more thing. I need for you to like this video. I need for you to subscribe. I need for you to share it. And then I need for you to come back and see the rest of the content. Turn on your notifications. As always, Sociologist Ray, speaking truth to power. I hope this conversation is sparked.